This episode of PPC Live, the podcast, is sponsored by AdSquire. AdSquire are a small team of passionate and focused legal marketers that do what it takes to get law firms spectacular results. With the landscape always changing, they stay on top of the trends and are first to find and use new strategies to accomplish this for their clients. And so if you're a law firm, you definitely want to give them a call. They've been they've been the first to get to serve a lawyer ad on ChatGPT. And we know that even with all the fact that it's very new, you really want to be testing some of these new strategies very early. And yeah, the AdSquire team have got inside knowledge on how to do that and have started doing that for their clients already. So if you want to have your ads shown in ChatGPT and you're a law firm, they're the ones to contact. So please go to adsquire.com to find out how much they can help you. Hello and welcome to PPC Live, the podcast. I'm your host, Anu, the founder of PPC Live. And nearly every week, I say nearly because sometimes I do take my birthday and holidays off. But yeah, nearly every week on this show, I speak to a different PPC expert about their biggest F-up, but also how they've turned things around. So we never leave things on a defeated note. We share about what was disappointing, but also how they turned things around, what, they did to build back the trust from the client. Today, I have the delight of speaking to one of PPC Live's ambassadors, Scott Carruthers, who is of Journey Further, and they usually based in the North, but they have clients in London and Manchester and New York even. So they deal with clients internationally. And yeah, he talks about, a mistake that he made earlier in his career, earlier when working with Journey Further, that meant that, he took his eye off the ball, he just let something run and, didn't check it as quickly as he could have. And it was one of those, the client saw it first. So yeah, he shares the story of what his experience was, what the lesson was, and, and all the things that happened to ensure that he was still able to put his best foot forward and show himself to be a great paid search professional as he is today. So yeah, let's go speak to Scott. Hello, Scott. Welcome to PPC Live, the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It is such a delight, Scott. And I would all, full transparency, this is a long time coming and it's not been Scott's fault. It's my fault. We tried to book a time and with my ADHD brain and just being so distracted, I started getting onto work and 10 minutes into the time, Scott was like, Anu, are we still meeting? And I was like, oh no. And obviously when you've been waiting for someone, you're not going to be in the mood to have a nice, fun conversation. So yeah, Scott very respectfully was like, let's reschedule. Thankfully, yay, after the fantastic talk that you did on last week, Wednesday, for PPC Live's 4th anniversary, it was I was like, yeah, let's get that back on track, because especially during the the panel that we do, I was like, a lot of us have been on the podcast. I was like, no, Scott hasn't, and I have to fix that. So I was like,
I noticed that at the time when you went, oh yeah, you've all been on the podcast. I was like, not me.
Not me. I am glad you did speak up about it. I really appreciate that. Anyway, as usual, I get so excited with my guests and just start chatting away. Let me introduce to you, our audience, who Scott is. Scott is one of those who I genuinely feel, Scott, you're so generous with your knowledge, so willing to help. And you've done that for several years for PPC Live. And I couldn't be more grateful about it. And that comes from Scott's 8-year plus with Journey Further as their senior paid search director. And has a lot longer experience with the likes of Epiphany Search and this guy called Red Cats and, other stuff. So he's been in the industry for much longer than 8 years, really trying to help solve Google Ads problems that most agencies just work around. So the complex stuff, right? And accounts with messy data, challenging client requirements, budgets that are big enough that mistakes are expensive. And we'll talk about, one of those expensive mistakes today. So, it's the kind of work that, as we said, even when we talked about this in our previous episode, some people would just think, okay, if I follow best practices, that's the way to go. And no, we need strategists and, heads of like Scott to really think beyond of, what the best practices should be and how to, related to the account. So Scott's approach is very much about understanding the platform properly, testing things rigorously, building systems that work without constant babysitting. Because we can use AI, and that AI can be used for that, but you help to do it more. He leads teams across Leeds, Manchester, London, and New York. Love that. And focuses on developing analysts who think strategically rather than just execute tasks. All right. I know another nice little, I know that it was not just me that makes mistake. Scott feels to me like someone who's been talking for years and talking on so many stages, but apparently PPC Live was just your second one. Speaking engagement, wasn't it?
Last week, yeah. I've done a few talks online, a couple of podcasts and webinars, but yeah, last week at PPC Live was my second live speaking event.
Amazing. Well, it was a great one, and I really feel that more people definitely should book you. Before we get into our chat, another nice bit I'd like to add is fun fact. What's your fun fact that you'd like to share with us, Scott?
This one you specifically asked for. So last year, I walked 100,000 steps in a single day.
Oh my God. Now, I'm all about, I don't understand people who go marathons. Talk less of someone who's decided to do 100K. What possessed you? How did it happen?
So I'm good at habit forming, or obsessive over habit forming.
Okay.
So I did 15,000 steps a day for a year.
Okay.
And I was like, the year's come to an end. How do you top that off?
Right.
So I tried to do 100,000 steps in a day just to see if I could do it. Raise some money for charity, which was really nice. So I think we raised £1,200 for charity. But yeah, just got up at 4 a.m, set off walking, and walked I think it was just over 2 marathons in distance.
Yeah.
100,000 steps. I was so tired.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure I hope you stopped to eat at some point, or did you wear?
Okay, no, stop to eat. Wow. The worst thing was my headphones running out of battery that I didn't account for. That was the worst, having to raw dog the last half of it, just like, lose my mind.
Yeah. Just, we kept company with your thoughts. So yeah, I think to myself about that. Sometimes I'm literally like, I don't want to be kept. So I'm left alone with my thoughts at this stage. So we need to do something. Oh, wow. That is amazing. To be able to build a habit of that consistency like that, that's quite a skill in itself. And yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Anyway, instead of talking about walking and marathons, people are here to talk about, not the things we do so well, but the things that we don't do so well. And I always love it that comes from, people who are doing their jobs very well right now, very respected in our industry, to emphasize the key message that mistakes happens to the best of us, and mistakes is all part of the journey of leading a career of success, which I genuinely feel Scott has. Like, he must have, because several of us think he's spoken on many stages for many years, but he keeps correcting us, saying that he hasn't. So he's definitely doing something very right. But let's go back to some of the past mistakes. He's going to start with a funny one, but definitely we're going to go on to one that's very account specific. So yeah, Scott, what are the F-ups you'd like to share with us today?
So the first one, you've alluded to it just there, speaking on stages. I got a speaking slot for HeroConf this year to speak on stage, but accidentally booked my stag do on the same weekend, so couldn't make it to HeroConf. Although I had a lovely time on my stag do, so can't really complain too much. We had a great time. But yeah, that's one F up from this year.
I remember messaging you about that, and I was like, I mean, Brighton is a great spot for a stag do. I don't know why you guys just didn't have it there. There's so many bars, you do a talk around 3:00, and then you go and do bar crawling for the rest of it. No,
I don't think at 3:00 I would have been in a fit state to be talking about PPC.
Amazing. Where did you go for your stag do?
Tenerife.
Oh, lovely. Okay, yes, absolutely much better than doing it in Brighton. I agree. So yeah, I mean, any regrets about, I know not regrets of going to Tenerife, but the fact that you couldn't speak at HeroConf, is that now something that you want to really get back to do?
Yeah. And like you said earlier, if anyone wants to book me, give me a shout.
I totally highly recommend it. And we're going to give a YouTube video of Scott's talk very soon, and you will really see how good an on-stage speaker he is. But yeah, anyway, so go on, Scott. Next mistake
Should
you'd
talk
like to share with us.
account F ups.
Yes,
So
let's do that.
back when smart bidding first launched, so must have been like 2017, 2018. I wanted to launch smart bidding on one of my accounts, so testing a target CPA bid strategy, so moving from manual CPCs. And I set it live and stopped paying attention. And spent a client's entire daily budget of over £10,000 in less than an hour,
Oh Lord.
which was quite a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So when you say that you didn't give it the leeway it needed to, what do you mean specifically?
I didn't give it the credence, I didn't give smart bidding the power because it was such a new tool, because
Yeah,
it was something so new, that it would change things so drastically.
yeah.
From my understanding of it, the targets were set as they should be. The budget caps were potentially set as they should be. However, I was wrong about all of that. And what I should have been doing was monitoring it a lot more closely than I did.
Okay. All right. And who picked up on the mistake?
The client.
Oh Lord.
The client was
Yeah.
checking the account, and I got a phone call saying, why is the Google Ads interface, or probably the AdWords interface, why is the Google Ads interface saying that we've spent
10K
over £10,000?
already. Okay. And what was your reaction? How are you feeling about that? Well,
A lot of panic at the time. A
yeah.
lot of panic, as anybody would spending that amount of money in that period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. So what, and then take us through that phone call, that the rest of that day. Well, how did it turn around? And even then the relationship with the client moving forward from there, like, yeah, how did the rest that day and the rest of the following days go?
It gave us a lot of learnings as to the type of reporting that you need from a Google Ads perspective. Like, you can't just set things live and let them run, particularly when you're making significant changes. So for me, significant changes would be bid strategy changes, particularly moving from bid strategy to bid strategy, conversion action changes, particularly moving to optimizing towards a different conversion action.
Yeah.
Really, really getting an understanding of the power of new tools and new automations like smart bidding, and then being able to put practical things in place to prevent errors from that like happening again in the future. So at the time, I think we were using Supermetrics for our reporting, pulling that into Google Sheets, but just making sure that, and now obviously that's significantly different. There's lots of other tools available. There's lots of stuff you can build with AI. There's lots of different alert options out there.
Yeah.
But taking those considerations and being able to build tools to then flag up if something like that starts to happen was all the type of stuff that came off the back of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And even I like also, digging in, and I hope you don't mind me us taking down this path, the emotional side of these kinds of stuff, like literally of the whole. How did that make you feel? What level were you at stage? Are you a manager or more of an executive?
Yeah. I was a lot more junior than I am today.
Okay. Yeah.
It made me feel awful. And I think the thing that I've realized, probably from that point, is that no one else is going to beat up the person who made the mistake as much as the person themselves.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that anyone can say that was ever going to make me feel any worse. But similarly, when you see it happening, or when you see mistakes like that happen now, there's no point in someone being reprimanded by a client or told off or whatever, because nothing you can say can make that person feel any worse than the mistake they've made themselves.
Yeah.
I think that was a big realization for me, is like, there's nothing anyone can say that's going to make me feel any worse than I do right now.
No. And what was your team like about it? What was your manager like when you also found out? Did they support you in it? Could they have, handle things better?
Yeah, the team were super supportive. My manager was super supportive, helped me in conversations with the client. We've always had a super supportive team, both up and down, like junior level, senior levels, at Jenny Feather, which has been fantastic. But no, the team was always supportive of it. The client wasn't as bad as I thought they were going to be, again, because you can't beat yourself up as much as someone else can't beat you up as much as you will yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the journey of rebuilding? Because if nothing else, there's a bit of trust lost from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
client's perspective? Like, there's money lost, there's trust lost. Like, what was it like building that back up?
It took us a long time to test smart bidding again for that
Okay.
specific client.
Mm,
A
yeah.
long time,
Yeah.
like 6, 8 months, something like
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
I guess we had the benefit of it being a relatively new tool, of
Mm,
it being something new that was introduced.
yeah.
So there is a little bit of leeway in that that's
Yeah.
provided.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it was let's make sure that all our checks and balances are right. Make
Mm,
sure that we've got the right reporting. Make sure we've got the right alert systems. Make sure that we're going to do it right next
yeah.
time, so that the same thing doesn't happen again.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And actually, yeah, if we can touch on a point of as well, because we are seeing this a lot more now than before. When the times of like smart bidding coming out, it was probably like smart bidding, and then nothing else was announced for maybe another few weeks or a few months. Now there's like 3 updates a week, and there's always something to try. And with AI Max, and even when PMax came out, there's this whole initial thing of like Google just posts something out, releases something out, and then when there's a lot of complaints that come up, then they try to change things around. Is that a benefit for people? What's the pros and cons of being the person who first starts something that is new? Would you say?
Um, I mean, there is the early adopter benefit of there's less people doing it. I remember when Discovery first launched,
Yeah.
and just being there, just playing the game, just had such a big advantage to it because nobody else was doing it. You got much cheaper CPCs, you got much more volume because there's no one competing for that volume. So there's
Yeah.
always that benefit. But obviously, the other side of that is something can go wrong.
Mm.
I think to the point that you've just been making about the number of releases that Google are making at the moment, I don't think any of them are as pivotal as a change like smart bidding was, or a change like introducing Performance Max was.
Yeah.
I think everything is iterative at the moment. So
Yeah.
they're making small adjustments. It's very difficult to keep on top of it all and make
Yes.
sure that you are fully up to date on everything that's going on in the platforms. But also because it's iterative, I feel like there's less opportunity for these significant mistakes.
Okay.
Maybe it's because there's a lot more, again, checks and balances in place, a lot more alerts available to make sure that people are reacting to things, to make sure that people are checking in on things.
Mm.
But I feel like, from my perspective, there's less opportunity to make those big errors like that. Unless, of course, you're not doing your due diligence and checking in. But at the moment, you launch a new account and you struggle to get smart bidding to spend, not the opposite way around when you're panicking going,
Yeah.
why have you spent £10,000?
Yeah. Yeah. Is there an advantage to not being an early tester to actually wait? I mean, apart from the fact that, Google might make it better, like, are you more of a be an early adopter, or are you rather actually wait a bit?
I think there's a sweet spot. There's obviously people that could probably talk to that better than me. I know that like adoption curve. I don't know what it's called, but there is certainly a sweet spot in when you should be adopting things. For me, I think it depends entirely on what the product is. You can't. I don't think there is any answer to should you adopt first or should you wait until you're last. Like again, to that discovery point, there was no risks that I saw there if the performance was to follow, and there were certain accounts that we saw massive benefits from doing that on. But if there's probably others for other specific accounts where that's not eligible or that's not relevant. If you look at, again, you've just mentioned AI Max there. I think a lot of us are early adopters. There's so many people trying to use it or testing it when it still has really been like in its infancy.
Yeah.
Like it is starting to progress a lot, but there was so many people writing it off far too early.
Yeah, very early. Yep.
So again, there is just a sweet spot to all of these things, and it's an account by account basis. It's not necessarily a product by product basis.
No.
Like AI Max will work really, really well on specific accounts and won't work well on others, and you have to be able to weigh that up and determine when it is that you want to throw your hat in the ring.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Okay, let's coming back to the story you shared about the loss in revenue and the spark. Actually, that's the thing. It was a big spike in cost. Did that reflect well in revenue or not as much as it should have?
Don't think we'd be having this conversation today if it did, because it would have said, they would have said,
It would have been a
oh,
good
she's spending
story.
£10,000 every hour.
Very true. Very true. Well, there's people who are reluctant, just, there's not the budget. There's CFO will not approve a 10,000 pound budget an hour. You just maybe just needs to prove it. But yeah, that's obviously that's almost a stupid question. Of course, you doing, reflected revenue unless it wouldn't be a mistake story. But like if someone has gone through that mistake and if someone have seen that they have made that, spend up, 10K in 1 hour when it should have been that's like the day's budget or the week's budget. And then that ring, their phone is ringing and they know what the client's about to say. What's your advice to them?
I think you have to, one, be transparent with the client. There's no point in trying to hide it. Not that I ever did, but I know that's often a conversation. I think you have to be frank with them and tell them what's happened. And then you need to get the time and space to be able to understand why that happened from a practical perspective that you can stop it happening again in the future. And that's not just I didn't check it. That's why did the smart bidding react the way it did? Why was the budget set in such a way? Why was the target set in such a way? How did we expect it to react based on those things? What reporting do you need to put in place, or what measures do you need to put in place to make sure that you've got the visibility and this type of thing wouldn't happen again in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. And even like, just honing in a bit more on that point, because another question I like asking is that, what do you feel maybe that you missed? Like what should people be like, this is what you make sure that you don't do, or the things that you check on the run up of changing a bid strategy to ensure that you don't spend, 10K in an hour? What's your advice on what people should make sure that, they should or shouldn't do?
Again, for me, it's checking things like making sure you are optimizing to the right conversion action.
Yeah.
That's number one in Google Ads for me at the moment, is your conversion action setup. Effectively using budget caps. Now we know Google can be really funny with budget caps.
Yes.
There's the whole 2 times a daily cap as long as it evens out over 30 days. There's the always take the higher of 2 budgets that are set in any given day that I think is less known about. So I know it can be funny with those, but using them as much as you can. And then again, making sure those targets are aligned. So making sure that those bid strategies that you're putting in place do actually make sense for what it is that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, we're going to go on to talking, about the industry in a whole and how we're approaching digital marketing at the moment. And I know you have very useful insights on that as well. But before we do that, just one last takeaway about that story, about your experience and what people should really remember in case they've been really busy for the past 20 minutes. What's one key takeaway, big takeaway that they should take from that story?
It might sound really simple, but when you are making a significant change, whether it be conversion action, bid strategy, be around, be there to check it, make sure that you've got eyes on that, because not everything always goes according to plan. And particularly when you're playing around with significant amounts of money, it is real money. So keep an eye on it.
Absolutely. It's the rule that I'm sure you've heard a lot of times before. Don't set it and forget it. The set it and forget it rule will always come and bite you in the behind if you decide to do that. So and even if you set it and then you check it every few minutes and nothing's wrong, that's better. That's better than just leaving it to do its thing. Okay, Scott, thank you so much for that. We'll move on from that PTSD moment. I feel is what I tell my guests. Let's move on to what you've been really good at, I'm sure, in the past several years of let's say a new client comes up, auditing, you're looking through big things to optimize and change. What are some big mistakes, or even just regular mistakes that you're surprised that it's still happening in 2026? What are some the mistakes that the industry is still facing that you're surprised at?
I've got a list.
Okay, good. Go. I will stand back. It's your turn.
Let's start with the biggest one. So conversion tracking and making sure that that's set up correctly, or even that it's aligned to your business objectives. So we talked about this at PPC Live last week, but oftentimes I will get say an account has two different products that it's trying to sell or two different types of leads that it's trying to generate. Oftentimes, people will have a single conversion action that is set up, and then we'll have two different campaigns set up for the two different products that we've just mentioned.
Yeah.
And then we'll complain that there's cross-contamination between them, that one campaign is using broad match and matching to the type of keywords that, or the type of search terms that they expected the other campaign to match. What they need to do is set up multiple conversion actions, because effectively what they're doing is telling Google that all of these conversions are success. This is success. This is success, but not steering it towards what they actually want the campaign to do or what they want it to achieve. And that's before you start to get into just actually broken conversion actions, like the amount of accounts that you open nowadays that just have 50 different conversion actions set up, and some are primary and some are secondary, and not quite having that set up. But yeah, having a real serious think about what it is that you're trying to achieve, what it is that you want individual campaigns to achieve, what it is that your overall business should be achieving, and getting that reflected in your conversion actions, I think, is the most important thing that you can do in Google Ads today.
Amazing. Okay. Next, you say you have a list?
Performance max audiences.
Okay.
Are suggestive. They're not prescriptive. They don't allow you to split out campaigns like a lot of people seem to think they do. I think Jill Hoskin-Gales puts it best when she talks about them being placebos, as in they don't actually really do that much. The audience is applied to, or search themes applied to Performance Max, in that they're there to make you feel like you've done something, whereas actually Google can do open targeting with Performance Max, unlike it can with other campaign types. But the amount of accounts that we audit where you go in there and people think they're running like a retargeting Performance Max campaign and a prospecting one and a one that's broken out for whatever else, where it's not. They're basically all just doing the same thing, and all you're doing is fragmenting your data.
Okay. So don't put don't implement audience targeting on PMax, because that doesn't.
You can use audience target on Performance Max, absolutely 100%, and you should be pointing in the right direction, but it will not segment your performance like you think it's going to. As in, if you apply a retargeting audience to a Performance Max campaign, that does not make a Performance Max campaign exclusively retargeting. That means you're saying to Google, I want more users that kind of look like this. So it's the reporting point afterwards that's more of the problem with that, is that people think they're doing something that they're not necessarily doing.
Oh, okay. So the reporter is not doing like presenting to a client that, that this Performance Max only showed in this way and that Performance Max only showed it that way, is actually a bit of a waste of time.
Yeah, and then that leads on to things like how you optimize for it, because people will say, well, I'll set a different target for my retargeting than my prospecting, or I'll set a different target for whatever it may be. So if your reporting's wrong, then your optimization is going to be wrong. So it just leads to all sorts of problems. But the fundamental thing to remember there is that Performance Max audiences don't restrict your Performance Max campaign. They're just a signal for it to lean on.
Oh, okay. So you're using it to be, you're using that, because I was going to ask about that. So what's the main use of you being able to implement that audience targeting? It's to tell Google, I want more of these kind of.
Yeah, it's to give it a starting point, a jumping off point to say, head in this direction with this type of user, but it won't restrict the campaign to only that type of, or only that user.
And any point, that was a great point.
And just say phrase match in general, just in general.
As in we should stop using it.
Just get rid.
Get rid.
Exact match is golden. Love broad match. None of this phrase match nonsense.
Yeah, but tell more about broad match and why people are so scared of it, and being like, because I know broad match should always be, approached with like, very, very kind of careful gloves kind of thing. Like, I'm sure you have you heard about people's issues with broad match?
Yeah, obviously. And I think people gave it a bad rep again from the jump. You had early adopters who were saying it was matching to a lot of rubbish.
Nonsense, yeah.
But again, did those people have the conversion action set up correctly to tell it what success looks like, to tell it what the right thing is for the right point in the conversion funnel, or for the right type of product that they wanted to optimize for? A lot of people don't, and then complain about broad match not working.
Yeah.
The reason I love broad match so much, or hate phrase match so much, is probably the more accurate thing to say, is it's the worst of all worlds. It adds on to exact match, but doesn't have the additional user signals that broad match leverages to target the right use it or the right searches. So broad match uses things like previous search history that we've never had access to, but it's super powerful in
Okay.
terms of actually you could maybe match to something more generic than you would have done historically, because Google can see that that person has actually searched for your products in the past.
Yeah.
So actually, I feel like broad match does a much better job, particularly than it did. Like, if you asked me this question like 2 years ago, I would never have said this, but
Yeah.
broad match is in a much better place than it was 2, 3 years ago.
Absolutely. So yeah, the broad match, go back to testing it if you don't like it, because I mean, I'm pretty much in agreement with you. I just try like to do the whole argument of like, what I hear the industry saying, because yeah, with exact match that has close variants and all that, it does more than what exact originally used to do. It's very much the two match types that only make sense to me are just exact and broad. And if you want those keywords that have that, but you don't want to have a lot of budget, use exact. But then if you want to expand a little bit more, use broad, but don't set it and forget it, which was our initial message of this story. Make sure you're checking those search query reports. And when it expands for as widely as you want it to expand, yeah, maybe turn it off, add those keywords that you like to your exact match list. And then, yeah, maybe come back to it if you want to expand a bit
Yeah,
more. But phrase is a bit of like, I'm not sure what it's there for really anymore.
exactly.
In my opinion. Um, shall we switch on to more like in terms of AI usage and how the industry uses it, that you feel like, guys, that's not what it's meant for?
Sure.
Yeah.
The biggest one for me, I don't know if this is just because maybe I'm slightly later to the game or not as clued up on it as possible, but the biggest mistake that I see is people using it for things where there's like a binary answer, where there's a correct answer, and
Yeah.
then taking that as gospel.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just a bit too old, and I'm like, just Google that. Why are you why are you asking ChatGPT like something that's got a really specific answer where it could actually just get it wrong? Because we know the LLMs can hallucinate, and I know they are getting a lot better.
Absolutely.
But the thing I'm still stuck in my ways about a bit is just like, if I need to know something that I know has a binary answer,
Yeah.
I won't ask something that's going to give me a potential hallucination or creative answer to that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely do think that people do need to be using it in a way where like come from it, use it not to be like, I don't know. Don't be from the point of view of like, I don't know. So let me get ChatGPT to give me the knowledge. You should have a
Yeah,
basic knowledge as to what you're trying to look at, unless it's just going to give you some nonsense and you're just going to take it as gospel. And it's going to be like, yeah, your client is not going to
exactly.
go, oh, well, it was ChatGPT, so it's fine. You're going to be like, what the hell have you just showed me? That is totally wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think and also an interesting flip of that is, and it's something that we spoke about at PPC Live last week, was the whole also your clients using AI to almost to like review the work that you sent them. You know what? Let's even talk to that. Like, it's not just advertisers are making mistakes in the way. Speak to clients right now in terms of like using AI. What is the wrong way that clients use it when you send reporting data to them?
Um, I don't necessarily know if it's the wrong way. There's frustrating ways that
Yeah.
they do
Okay.
it, but I think we're all still in effectively a bit of a discovery phase. So I
Yeah.
think if people want to use it to interrogate reports and interrogate the data you've sent them, then fair play. But it is frustrating when you send a report and you get an essay back that is very clearly just an output of ChatGPT that might not have even been read.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it, yeah, it's like, is this a productive use of my time? I could be testing some new campaigns, so I could launch something cool, but instead what I'm doing is now sat writing an essay back to an essay that you didn't even write. Do you even care about the answer? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get it. It's using a really powerful tool to start to ask questions that you might not been able to have asked yourself.
Yeah.
But I've seen examples where it's getting a little bit silly.
Okay. And how do you respond with that? What's like the best from your senior paid search manager point of view, where you want to keep the client happy, but you also don't want to waste your time? What's
I
your
think
approach with that?
I think it's really useful to go through it on a call, is to
Okay.
like explain the answer, because oftentimes that can be a lot quicker than actually just typing up the answers,
Yeah.
and then they'll understand where that point of trust is. And
Yeah.
oftentimes clients will trust you. It won't be a lack of trust thing. It'll be, oh, I've got this shiny new toy that can ask questions better than I ever could.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the number one thing is to add that human element back into it and actually just speak to her.
Absolutely. No, that's amazing. Well, thank you, Scott. You've given us so many insights about the mistakes they were making, sharing your story about that spending era and how we should make sure that we're very much on top of like not set and forget it and on top of like the test that we're checking and yeah, they haven't stare at those campaigns for like more than an hour after you've set it up so that it doesn't slip your hand. It's not your clients doing that. Although to be fair, should I say props to the client? Like the client would check it and figure it out after an hour. Like,
They're
let
on
your
it. They're on it.
they're on it. They're on it. So yeah, don't just think that your client are some guys. When it's your budget, when it's large budget they're dealing with, they're gonna be on it. So even to avoid things like that, make sure you're looking at your accounts very well. Yeah. So before we leave you, Scott, we're just gonna ask a now fun non PPC really question. If your PPC career were a movie, what would the title be?
So this is quite a difficult one, but based on the conversation that we had at PPC Live last week, or the talk that I gave, I'd say the title would be "The Problem Is the Job." In that, I've been in PPC so long now that I've seen a lot of different iterations of it, and it's not just the processes that we do that makes the job the job. It's all of the fun stuff. It's all of the change and stuff. It's all of the client involvement. It's
Yeah.
it's the problems that come up that are there to be solved, and that
Yeah.
is the job of BBC. Is we are problem solvers. We just happen to do it in a very unique system.
Absolutely. Can I even cheekily add that even going to events is part of the job now as well as, talking about it with other people, seeing the results that they've tested because the online, yeah, like our online space can just be a little bit like, what are people saying? And why is everyone complaining about this or too excited about this kind of thing? We can be, I just feel like I see a lot of extremes and we just have to be like, guys, it's our job to figure this out. As I was saying just before we started recording, I loved your point of view about, the August 17th update that is coming up. It's not that it's an unimportant update, but guys, it's just our job to pay attention to what's going to happen and change our targeting as required and be on top of things like that. I mean, what is your thoughts about, let's speak on it even right now. What's your thoughts about the August 17th update?
Well, you've just said that we have to be on top of it and change our targets. Or if you've got your targets set correctly anyway, which we all should have, then
you might
there
not
is
need to
no
do
change,
anything.
is there?
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree. So since BBC Live is also based on events, where is the next event that we might see you at?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't have anything lined up after BBC Live. You put me on the spot there.
Well,
I'm
we
not
know, like,
excited.
are you hoping to get to HeroConf? No, it's not HeroConf. It's not going to be happening in October, but like there'll be Brighton SEO stuff happening in October. Are you?
I'm open to suggestions if anyone's got anything interesting that they think I should attend, either as a speaker or as a guest. I like just getting out there and seeing people, and PPC has such a good community. Yeah, let me know. Coming to an
Absolutely.
event near you soon.
And really, I don't need to ask. You're on LinkedIn, as I've seen, as I know very well. Any other online platforms that you like chatting about paid search stuff, or is it just LinkedIn?
No, LinkedIn is the one.
Fantastic. Scott, as always, it's always a pleasure to have a chat with you. I always feel like I come away learning something new and just having like a great different perspective of how things should be done. We'll share the links in our show notes as to how to get in touch with Scott if you have any questions for him or even like, ideas of what events that you'd like him to see him pitch at, share that with us, share that with him. And he's also part of our fantastic PPC Live communities in our Slack. So join our Slack if you want to have one-on-one conversations with him. But yeah, on that note, thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and thank you, Scott, as well. And I'm sure we'll chat again soon.
Thank you.
Hey. Thank you so much, Scott, for sharing that very honest and transparent, experience. And yeah, I think biggest lesson, don't set and forget. Your campaigns, when you're first running them, make sure you take a look at them. That has been a recurring thing, of previous guests. So yeah, for sure. It's definitely always takes, is worth, repeating, because they're the kind of mistakes that can cost 10,000 pounds of spend, or a drop in revenue, or just something you don't want happening. So yeah, make sure that as soon as you're setting, a new test live, a new campaign live, within hours, you're taking a look at it. It might seem like a waste of time, but it never is. The eyes that you have post setting something live and pre-setting them live are also always very different. So look out for that. So yeah, for all the information and the full transcript, not just the show notes, go to podcast.ppc.live for all the details, and where you can find Scott next, or the really great insights that he has about paid search. So yeah, in terms of our PPC Live events updates, thank you so much to everybody that came last week, but also most especially for this latest event. What was really special for me was our volunteers. We had Boluwa Olojo, who has been one of our podcast guests, but also the likes of Precious Ojukwu, who did amazing pictures, took very great clips of the event, as well as Cleopatra, Baiga, and Tom, and Tatum, Mark as well. Like, some really great people that really came alongside to me and were able to, take lead on certain things, meaning I didn't have to run around. So it really makes for me thinking that PPC Live can grow bigger, can go to many more places. Now that I've got a team, that will mean that it doesn't mean I have to run around so much. So yeah, thank you to all our volunteers, but especially as well, thank you to fantastic sponsors, ClickTech, Shopping IQ, but also 12 Digital, who Laura and Aisha came all the way down from Leeds, Madrid. Aisha lives in Madrid, to come to the PPC Live event, as well as the Shopping IQ team were there, the ClickTech team were there, Ben Marshall was there, and also inside Google Ads, Jill Saskin Girls, always supporting. Thank you, Jill, for helping and bringing this fantastic event to life, and Swido as well, being fantastic community partners as well. So really grateful to everybody that helps to make this event a thing. Save the date. October 22nd, that's going to be our last event of the year. To save the day, you can. I have a link that allows you to add the event to your calendar, and we'll add more details. I still need to, finalize my speakers, finalize our locations, finalize sponsors. So if you want to sponsor, please do get in touch. But yeah, October 22nd is going to be our final event of the year, our next and final event of the year. And yeah, go to ppc.live to save the day, but also to check out the fantastic content we have on there, whether it's our articles or information of when the next video is coming out. We're going to post up the video, and that's going to go on our YouTube. So yeah, check out our YouTube to see when we're going to post up the different talks that happened last week. So yeah, I hope you take a look at that. So yeah, and also before I leave you, I am delighted to share that I am taking on coaching clients. So yeah, if you go to the marketinganu.com, you'll be able to see, different ways I can help you, whether it's in terms of building your confidence to ask for that pay rise, to go for that job that you're not sure that you're, qualified for, to, ask for that promotion, to, get to be added on a project that you really enjoy. So yeah, let's have a chat so that we can really figure out the ways to get you further in your career. I offer a 15-minute free discovery call so that we really figure out what it is that you need help with. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the show, and I do look forward to bringing more PPC F-ups and triumphs next week. Thank you. Bye.